Welcome back, Sebastian here. Time for my review for the 2024 Formula 2 Hungary Sprint Race. Pretty interesting race, quite a mix of strategies, so you had some pretty exciting racing, especially towards the end of the race. But started with for sure on pole and Miney P2. Zane Maloney starting P3 on the grid, stalls on the formation lap, so he was forced to be wheeled into the pit lane and then obviously start from the back of the grid. Versure has a really good start. Antonelli as well. He goes up to P2 around side Miney, around the outside of turn 2. And this is where we noticed that there was a real mix of tire strategies. Quite a few drivers opting to go on the hard tires as they figured that the race was just too long for the soft tires to really last. Case in point, Versure was on the hard tires, Antonelli on the soft tires, putting a lot of pressure on Versure, having a lot more purchase at the very start of the race. Lap 3, Antonelli within DRS goes for a move at turn 1, not able to make the move that time around. But lap 4, pretty straightforward passes Versure into turn 1 to take the lead of the race. Lap 7, Fittipaldi overtakes Bortoletto for P6 at turn 2. Lap 7, Correa goes off at turn 4. Seemed like he was pushed off by Cordial, and Cordial would eventually get a penalty for that. But luckily for Correa, he was able to continue. Lap 10, hard tires starting to be faster than soft tires. At this point, you're really only a third of the way through the race, and it really looked like at this point that the soft tire runners would basically be screwed. And you were just going to have hard-tired drivers being the only drivers in the points. But yeah, it wouldn't turn out quite that way, but we'll see. So Antonelli starting to fall towards Versure. Clearly at this point his tires are really done, and I think there's definitely questions about whether he pushed too hard at the beginning. The reality is that Pramac has had terrible tire wear for the first half of the season, and whether or not trying to go for such a risky strategy, starting on the softer tire, was really the right way to go for them. Lap 11, Hauger tries to make a move on Martins. Lap 12, goes for a move at the inside turn 1, but not able to pass. Lap 13, Versure Miney within DRS of Antonelli. Lap 14, Hadjar overtakes Bortoletto for P7 at turn 1. So Bortoletto, another driver on the soft tires, again, another rookie as well. So it really felt like just throughout this race say that the rookies who were starting on that really aggressive soft tire strategy were the ones who really struggled the most. But that being said, there were some who did quite well for themselves today. Lap 15, Versure tries to make a move on Antonelli, doesn't make it stick. 13, Antonelli really struggling in sector 1. Of course, those are where the primary overtaking opportunities are, so making sure that you can defend into turn 1, turn 2, and I guess turn 3 as well are really the key corners that you need to do, because the rest of the lap there aren't really opportunities to overtake. Lap 17, Antonelli has a big lockup at turn 1 and drops all the way to P3. So at this point his race is basically cooked. Victor Martins overtakes Antonelli as well at turn 12. Definitely not a conventional overtaking spot, just kind of showing how much Antonelli was struggling relative to Martins at that point in the circuit. Lap 18, Antonelli overtaken by Hauger and Fittipaldi. Lap 19, Colapinto overtakes Bortoletto for P7 at turn 1. Lap 20, Berman overtakes Bortoletto for P8 at turn 1. At this point, Antonelli decides to pit for the hard tires. At this point, if Antonelli's struggling this much, is everyone else going to struggle as much as well? And it turns out that wouldn't really be the case. So what I really feel what happened was, you could see from the close-up shots of Antonelli's tires, graining was very, very bad. And I feel like the drivers who were able to manage that graining on the soft tire were fine, and they were able to carry on to the end of the race. But those who weren't able to deal with the graining really, really struggling and just kind of sunk like a stone. So drivers like Antonelli, I would assume Bortoletto as well, was suffering from similar issues. Lap 20, Crawford tries to take Paul Aaron on the curb, isn't able to make it stick there. Soft tire riders were generally falling off hard, but again, like I said, it wasn't throughout the entire field. There were certain drivers on soft tires who were clearly sinking like stones, and others who were just kind of managing the best they could. Bordelotto pits as well. Lap 22 for sure. Fastest lap on hard tires, showing that the hard tires still clearly had quite a lot of pace. Hadjar overtakes Fittipaldi for P4 at turn 1. Again, Hadjar, another driver on the hard tire, really making up ground in the second half of the race. Antonelli almost 2 seconds a lap faster than the cars ahead, but really should have pitted like 2 to 3 laps earlier. Even basically as soon as Versure started gaining on him, if he had pitted then, I think, based on how the things ended went towards the end of the race, could have ended up with a point or two. I think if he had done that, of course, would have lost a lot less time. Those 2 laps he didn't pit, and of course would have had more laps to overtake because he clearly still had a lot of pace at the end of the race. Lap 23, Fittipaldi looks up at turn 1 and is overtaken by Hauger for P5. Lap 24, Paul Aaron up to P9. Fittipaldi unfortunately gets a puncture, and I would assume that was from locking up, because that can happen if you basically wear the tire all the way basically to the carcass of the tire. It can cause punctures. And he just, falling through the field, unfortunately has to do almost a full lap from his puncture to getting back to the pits. Aaron overtakes Behrman for P7 at turn 12. 26 Correa, Crawford and Behrman go 3 wide through turns 2 and 3. This was absolutely crazy sequence. The 3 of them basically, they went 3 wide through the corner, and they almost had an airplane crash there. Very luckily they didn't. A couple of them, I think Correa, or it might have been Crawford, basically was forced to go a bit wide, but nonetheless, no contact, and they all kept going. And unfortunately for Behrman, he kind of lost out there and ended up down in 11th place. Lap 28, Versure takes a checkered flag, and while this is going on, there's been a crazy battle for basically P12, P13, P14, I would say, between like 5 or 6 cars that were very, very close together. Antonelli, for example, was one of those drivers, clearly much quicker tires, but because there were just so many cars in front of him, it was almost impossible for him to find a line and kind of thread the needle through the cars in front of him. But crazy battle outside the finish, the points to finish that race. And for Versure, he takes his first win of the season, but unfortunately that's not how it ended. So I guess one of the benefits of me doing this when I wake up in the morning and not live is that I get to know about these kinds of things. So unfortunately for Versure, disqualified for rear plank wear. Effectively, they ran the team probably ran the car a bit too low to the ground, went quite aggressive with the setup, and of course, when the cars run a bit lower, generates more downforce. But of course, it also does this, and it wears down the rear plank a bit more. So really unfortunate for Versure. Doubt it would have had much of an impact on performance, but again, you never know. This is the same thing that got Hamilton and Leclerc disqualified from the US Grand Prix last year. So again, for Versure, lost his win in Monaco because his car went kaboom, and loses another win here for rear plank wear, and now sitting 19th in the championship. Definitely not representative of, I think, what he's capable of, and really unfortunate for him. But that means that Chris Miney inherits the win. That's definitely his first win this season. Might be the first F2 win for him in his career. I'd have to check about that. But anyway, looking at the result, so Miney P1, and then followed up on the podium by 2 Frenchmen, Martins and Hadjar. 4th Hauger, 5th Colapinto, 6th Aaron, 7th Barnard, and Correa rounding out the points in 8th. 9th Crawford, 10th Behrman, 11th Villa Gomez, 12th Miata, 13th Maloney, 14th Antonelli, 15th Stanek, 16th Bordelotto, 17th Marti, 18th Durskin, 19th O'Sullivan, 20th Cordial, 21st Fittipaldi, and 22nd Versure. So taking a look at your championship standings going into the future race, I guess today already. Hadjar again leads 140 points, extends his lead slightly. Aaron second, 122. Hadjar, really, really good result, definitely making a case for himself for an RB seat for 2025. Be a really interesting decision with so many drivers kind of in the mix there in the Red Bull Academy / at RB right now, so it'll be interesting to see what they do. 3rd Maloney, 101, 4th Bordelotto, 98, 5th Colapinto, 96, 6th Crawford, 84, 7th Hauger, 71, 8th Miney, 68, 9th Antonelli, 59, 10th Fittipaldi, 48, 11th O'Sullivan, 42, 12th Martins, 39, 13th Marty 38, 14th Berman 34, 15th Correa 31, 16th Cordial for 25, 17th Erskine 24, 18th Miata 19, 19th Versure with 17, 20th Barnard on 16, 21st Stanek on 14, and 22nd Villagomez on 8 points. So there you go. There's my review of the 2024 Formula 2 Hungary Sprint Race. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.